Chicago, Los Angeles, a couple of other large cities, to completely franchise the rest of the country. And they are willing to blow up the entire Constitution of the United States in their effort to do just that. You're absolutely right that this is an effort basically by those elites to try to disenfranchise everyone.
Well, when you can't get it your way, when people don't see, I mean, when you look at this whole gay thing, let's just take, for instance, the whole gay issue. When you look at the gay issue, less than say 2 or 3% of people in this country are gay or consider themselves gay or bisexual or homosexual or trans, whatever. A very small percentage. So why is it that this is a major issue for the American people? It shouldn't be.
Well, it seems like a major issue because basically the centers of media and Hollywood attempt to convince you that it's a major issue. Let's take a look at the real issues facing the country and what those in the Democrat Party, particularly on the left, are trying to tell us are the key issues. If you listen to the Democrats, they'll tell you it's gay rights, it's infanticide. We should have the right to kill babies just as they're being born. They want to give free stuff to everybody. They want universal basic income, all things which are pie in the sky nonsense and which 90% of the American public really aren't interested in. Let's compare that with the agenda, say, of Donald Trump. Wants to improve the economy, wants to expand employment, wants to protect the country from foreign danger. Those are practical things for everyone. It seems that the Democrats and the hard left in this country have perhaps realized that on issues they can't really win the population. That's why they lost states like Michigan and Pennsylvania and West Virginia in the last election. And so they try to come up with these boutique issues. And of course, if you disagree with them, well, then you're a sexist, you're a racist, you're, a Luddite.
And
They
it
just
and
don't
it not
have the issues that capture the imagination of the American
well,
people.
it's not about issues. It's about addressing the needs of the American people. It's not about politics. These
Correct.
people, these
Correct.
people are elected by us to represent us. But as soon as they get to Washington, they take them to a room. They say, your job is to get reelected, not to do what's best for your constituents. Do you know, and you know this probably better than the rest of us, that AOC still hasn't opened a district office or has a local phone number for her constituents? And that apartment that she
Well,
lists.
since I have the unfortunate distinction of actually living in AOC's district, I'm well aware of that. And by the way, you see this is becoming more and more commonplace throughout the country where the priorities of the elected officials bear no real resemblance to the priorities of the people they purport to represent. What people seem to forget is that elected officials are our employees. They're not there to play for their careers, they're there to represent us, to do our bidding. But you don't see that happening very much at all.
Well, when you have people like Barack Obama, who has never had a real job and who sat and watched TV all day, and the rumor was this guy watched television. He watched ESPN in the morning, and he watched um, MASH several times a day, reruns of MASH. It makes you wonder. It really doesn't make you wonder. That the country was in bad hands. As Clinton said that Bush called him more than Barack Obama. I didn't say that, but Clinton said that. He said, this guy is lazy at best. And so when Barack was confronted, and they said, well, Mr. President, the rumor is that you're lazy. He said, yeah, it's that Hawaiian thing in me. And, I am lazy and kick back. It's the Hawaiian thing. I mean, he made a joke of it. It's kind of like William Daley, Bill Dale, Mayor Daley, when he was confronted about nepotism and hiring his relatives. He came on television. He said, "I understand that there's some concern of nepotism in my administration, but if I can't help my family, how do you expect to help you?" He actually said that. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, Frank.
The problem really is that I think in the past far too often we have been, and by we I mean the majority of the American people,
Uh-huh.
complacent about the fact that those in academia, who are in control of the newsrooms, those are in control of Hollywood, are so different culturally and
Mhm.
ideologically from the bulk of the American people, and we never really done much about it. Parents will still spend their complete fortunes sending their kids to college so they could be taught that their parents are no good, that their country is no good. We have been complacent for far too long. And let me throw something else into the mix as well. In places, particularly in blue collar areas in states that I'm familiar with, there is a loyalty to the Democrat Party despite what the Democratic Party has become. People in many cases still vote for that D line, even if it bears no resemblance whatsoever to the things that they stand for. Now, we saw that beginning to change in 2016 in states, again, like Michigan, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. But in states like New York, for example, parts of upstate New York, remember, New York is not just New York City, it's the entire state. Parts of New York State were industrial towns, and yet they voted continuously for left wing candidates who did everything possible to allow government regulators to shut down plants, to shut down industries, and to put people out of work. People have got to start voting for the candidate rather than for the party. The loyalty that the Democratic Party absolutely depends on is really not helping the country at all.
No, it's not. And so when we sit here and we think about it, and you go, wait a minute, what are these people up to? Yesterday, Robert Mueller, who's supposed to be a above reproach, here's a guy who supported Whitey Bulger and ran allowed the FBI to put in jail and incarcerate all of Marty Bulger's Whitey Bulger's competition, and did his dirty work. And so this is a guy who's supposed to be above reproach and irrefutable, and one of just a top guy. I think Mueller has shown us time and time again that he's not this top notch guy, this above reproach kind of person. With his act yesterday, when he said, if if there was no crime, we would have exonerated the president. So he must have said, since we didn't exonerate the president, then there must be crime. You can't have it both ways, Frank. Either there's a crime or there's not. And then he makes an excuse. Well, we couldn't indict the president anyway, so why charge him? Well, it's not you don't get to charge him. You get to determine if a crime had been committed. The decision to indict or charge the uh, 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 target of the investigation is left up to the attorney general and the Justice Department. Am I right or wrong on that?
Well, you're absolutely right. In the mean streets of New York where I grew up, we would call those weasel words. Clearly, the Mueller report, again, at tens of millions of dollars in 2 years by an
Weasel
anti Trump
words.
group, could find absolutely no evidence whatsoever of any wrongdoing because there was no wrongdoing. And indeed, the entire charge was based on a document paid for by the rival campaign. The only wrongdoing that has been done by those who brought up the charge under false pretenses and misled the FISA court.
Mhm.
People like James Comey, people like the agents who brought that document to the FISA court should, number one, lose their life, and number two, should be prosecuted for basically misleading the entire country, committing falsehoods under oath, and things of that sort.
What do you think that's going to happen, Frank? That's the question.
Well, let's be blunt. Attorney General Bill Barr is starting to look at that now. But considering how these things go in terms of pacing, it is unlikely that an investigation would be complete before the 2020 election. If, in fact, Donald Trump wins the 2020 election, I think that that investigation and possible prosecution will go forward. If Donald Trump loses the election, obviously it'll be squashed. The same way, by the way, that the clear, obvious, and open misdeeds committed by Hillary Clinton were squashed. If you can have a kid who can steal an apple from a grocery, from a bodega, he'll get prosecuted quicker than Hillary Clinton, who sold the basic ingredient of nuclear bombs to the Russians in return to money transferring from the Russians to her foundation. That's clear act of treason, but she hasn't been prosecuted for it yet. I just hope that by the time Bill Barr completes his work, that the statute of limitations hasn't run out.
Well, I don't think they're going to let it run out. And see, this is the beauty of having Bill Barr in that position. The guy's smart. He's smart. He doesn't need any more money. You can't buy him off. He's confident in himself. He knows the law. He understands the government and his responsibility as Attorney General. These people are in trouble, Frank. These people are in trouble. You hear me? And they know it.
They are indeed in trouble, which is why you see that tint of desperation in what the Democrats are doing. Clearly, even for their own political odds in 2020, uh, continuing the impeachment discussion doesn't make a lot of sense. But you've got key people, both in the intelligence services and in the leadership of the Democratic Party. Adam Schiff, are you listening? Um, who are personally very liable for what they've been doing. And so they are desperately trying to cling to the collusion story, despite all evidence to the contrary.
But
But I think the American people are starting to see through that.
but the question becomes, where's the evidence? Where's the example? We don't need evidence, it's the example. The opinion was that a president cannot be indicted while he's in office, but he could have reached a decision as to whether it was criminal activity. That's what Barr said. He could have reached a decision if there was criminal activity. I love Bill Barr, looking like Fred Flintstone with glasses.
You're absolutely right. But the larger question that we're looking at here is, are we in fact equal under the law?
No,
Does membership in exactly membership in an elite branch of government, does being a prominent Democrat politician make you above the law? In practice, that has happened. Remember the example I just mentioned. A kid who stole an apple from a local bodega faces a greater chance of criminal prosecution than a politician on the left who has stolen millions of dollars from the American people and has misled the American people and cost the taxpayers millions and millions.
Hillary Clinton is going to go to jail. The problem that I have that's really sad is that Jeff Sessions didn't have the guts to step up and do what he needed to do in Washington. He certainly had the guts to do it as Attorney General of Alabama. He got to be the USAG. I think he was a little bit out of his league.
Yeah, I think that was demonstrated pretty clearly. In fact, the excuse that he had to recuse himself, according to most legal scholars I've spoken to, including retired judges, just didn't hold water. He had a small conversation at a cocktail party, and he used that as an excuse to recuse himself. Clearly, it seemed that he was running scared. He was out of his element. It's something perhaps that we'll find out more about in the future, but he did a great disservice to the country in being so laid back about this entire process,
And to the president.
and especially to the president. That's correct.
So, I it's interesting that over the last few days I've had this discussion about John Gleese and his comment about London not being an English city. And, I was in the elevator with a lady today. She was like, no, I don't go to London either because there's just too many people, that there's too many foreigners there. There you can't find the English people. So I just don't go.
Do you know what the number one most common name for newborns in London is?
Let me see. It's not Mohammed, is it?
It is Muhammad.
Mhm.
That is the most common name for newborns in London.
Oops. How did I get
So
that
John
right?
Gleese, yeah, so John Gleese apparently has a point.
No question. But Charles Butler said the same thing. I've often said that I don't go to London and I don't go to Paris anymore because there are too many African and Arabs there. And I mean, that's just the way it is. So you have all of these people, though: Bernie Sanders, uh, Cory Booker, uh, Camilla Harris. They're calling for the impeachment of Donald Trump after Mueller's statement. And I'm thinking to myself, how could you try to impeach this man? What are the grounds? Help me out here.
Grounds? The grounds are that he got elected when the left didn't want him elected. That's essentially it. Look, for years we talked about having a nonpartisan president, a president who is apparently above party politics. Well, we've got one now, and the deep state is running scared because of it.
Well, he's not playing the same games that they're playing. And the thing that I like about Trump is that he's still Donald Trump and he's trying to do what's best for the country.
And the results are clear and undeniable. If we
Hey,
look, for
listen,
example,
hold it, hold it,
unemployment,
hold it, hold it.
the
ABC,
lowest, the lowest unemployment.
wait a minute. ABC poll. This was April 26th. 56% say they should not impeach. 37% say they should. Now, that's ABC Washington Post. Now, uh, Bill Clinton, 30% said they should impeach Clinton. Yes, and 4% said no over the Monica Lewinsky. So
No.
it's interesting. I tell you, Trump, though, he tickled me. He was very clear. He was very clear in his put down of what's his name? What's this guy's name? Hold on. Oh man, Maria. Maria is with us. Maria Espinoza. So Frank, I tell you what. So let's kind of wrap up. And when how do you think this Mueller thing is going to end up? How do you think do you think they're going to impeach the president or not?
Here's the interesting part of the Mueller discussion. It really isn't about Republicans versus Democrats.
Uh
In
huh.
many ways, it's about democratic civil war because clearly there is a civil war within traditional Democrats against the new wing. Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi are bright enough to realize that the impeachment thing is not good for the Democrat Party, but the radical wing, the Alexandria Ocasio Cortezes, the Ilhan Omars, etc., they're pushing this. We're going to see how this shakes out for the Democrat Party.
Hey, sounds good. I just want one person between now and Frank when we talk. I just want one person to tell us why they're impeaching the president on what grounds. Is it treason? Is it bribery? Is it high crimes and misdemeanors? What is it? Does that make sense? Is that too much to ask?
It makes it makes a lot of sense. It is the essence of the issue itself. And the problem is for the left, when the answer comes down, is that they have no grounds whatsoever, and that's the key issue. Hey Charles, I'm about to lose the rest of my voice. I
Okay.
look forward to our discussion on Tuesday.
Thanks so much, Frank, for being with us, man. You did a great job. Appreciate you.
Take care. Now.
Okay. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
All right, folks, we have Maria Espinoza waiting to come on. And Maria is a big immigration advocate, a voice to be heard out here in this wilderness, out here in this open borders. Love Maria. She's always does a great job. Hi, Maria. How are you? Sorry,
Hi, I'm doing great, Charles. Can you hear me okay?
we can hear you perfect. We can hear you
Okay, great,
perfectly.
great. Yeah, I'm doing well, but there's so much going on, as you know. So we're keeping a pretty good pulse on everything. And I think that you talked about our wonderful President Donald Trump. You know, he's doing the best he can, but it's unfortunate that the GOP failed him the first 2 years, led by former Speaker Paul Ryan.
Well, Paul is a rhino at best, and that's why he's gone. Paul couldn't win.
Exactly.
Paul couldn't win his own district, which is why he's out of politics. He could win his own district. He's such a rhino. I tell you, the guy is.
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
So talk to me. What is?
We need go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say that, this is a perfect example, an opportunity that your listeners and we all have to elect good candidates. No more of these rhinos that are in the swamp right now, the GOP leadership, none of those individuals led us down, the rabbit hole and, wasted our time for the last, over 2 years. I don't think they should be reelected in the leadership. We need to look for people who are actually will place this country and Americans first.
Well, I don't think they should be elected, period. And, we talk about the correlation between how our government and our government officials, I should say, our government officials are co opting the will of the people. The people voted and had and asked for an amendment, a law to protect marriage. That the name of that law
Hmm.
was the Defense of Marriage Act. It's called DOMA, Defense of Marriage Act, DOMA.
Hmm.
And the law was overturned by 9 unelected justices in the Supreme Court. The people said, we believe that marriage is between a man and a woman. The Supreme Court said, marriage is between you and whomever. You can marry, what do we bring up next? Oh, I love my horse, so I'm going to marry my horse. You know, I mean,
Right. I heard of a woman marrying a dolphin.
yeah.
So I think that was in another country a couple of years back, if you recall. Yeah, this is out of line, and it's going to take the uh, average American with the common sense to stand up and speak up. We can't sit back any longer, Charles, and just listen to your wonderful radio station or watch the news and just go to a meeting. We actually have to take action. What are you doing to help, not you personally, but what are your listeners out there volunteering? So those are the things that we need, people to take action.
But the question becomes, even when they do, I think the only way that the average person can have impact is every 2 years when they elect congressmen, every 6 years when they elect senators. And we need to be serious about putting these people out to pasture because that's the only thing they understand, not getting reelected.
Right, and it takes. We have to know where to go to get the information to make sure that these representatives are telling the truth in their newsletters that obviously depict them as doing everything conservative. So we have to do our homework. We have to call them up every time we see that. They should be on in our speed dial, their district office, their DC office, their city council office. That's what we need to do. We need to be breathing down their necks and take the Remembrance Project with you as well. This is our 10th year, Charles, and thank God that the Remembrance Project exists. But it's sad that we do exist because all we're asking for are for current laws to be enforced and for our representatives to legislate for, our well-being, our security, and it's not being done. And we started 10 years ago over when we learned about the sanctuary city policies in Houston, Texas. And we had no idea what we were getting into. We thought we were the only ones, but we knew certainly that we couldn't be the only ones out here. And my father came from Mexico the right way. I think it was just terrible that illegal aliens were placed above the law in these sanctuary city jurisdictions. And here we are. We are a victim for a voice for the victims who were killed by people in the country illegally. And remembering and honoring them through our quilt, the Stolen Lives quilt. And here we are 10 years later, and it doesn't seem like we're any safer, Charles. And I feel like
Well, we're not.
um, our country is even more dangerous.
Yeah, I think we are in peril because the illegals have become emboldened, and we need to put them in their place.
Yes.
We need to stop locking these people up. We need to start shooting them down in the streets like the heinous criminals they are. No, I'm serious. I mean, how does a shoot? This is what pisses me off. You have a black man who or a black woman stopped on a traffic stop, and they're shot to death sitting in their car because their cell phone looked like a muzzle flash, and they're totally taken out. Boom, 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 boom. These white cops arrived to these mass shootings, and these white kids and these white men walk out of the mass shooting standing up. How does that happen? Gets killed.
Oh,
No.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what incident you're talking about.
Well, there are numerous incidents. I
But
mean,
I'm
you
not.
look at Sandra
I,
Bland. You can look at
I'm not
Sandra
for
Bland.
violence. I believe in our Second Amendment. All right, I do know that incident. I believe in our Second Amendment. I don't, however, advocate for the violence. There has to be, otherwise, you're looking at, you know, just shooting someone that's pretty
Violence,
very extreme and
violence
violent.
becomes. But the bottom
uh,
line is, the only way that you deal with a criminal, someone who has committed to taking a life, is to take their life. That's the bottom line, and that's why we have so much killing and so much. Um, what do you call it?
there's no accountability or
Well,
no,
exactly. So if I come on a scene,
yeah, there's
like
no deterrent there.
you look at Aurora, you look at Aurora. This white kid comes into a movie theater. He shoots 70 people. He shot 70 people, and the SOB is going to on a on death row, or not even on death row. He's going to be in prison for the rest of his life. He's not on death row. How does a person shoot 70 people and walk out of that movie
Hmm.
theater standing up? That, see, you understand what I'm saying?
Right. I
See,
believe in the capital punishment.
but he should have,
Absolutely. That's a drain on
but
our
he should have
system,
been,
and it
but he should have been killed
people.
at
It's not a deterrent.
But he should have been killed at the scene. That's my point. He had shot 70 people. He should have been shot right there on the scene of his crime, not paraded around, not given a trial. He didn't give any of those 70 people he shot a trial. He should have been put down like
Well,
the
we need to
animal
put
he
you on
is.
the border. we we need to put you on the border, Charles.
Well, I
That's
think,
how some countries protect their borders, and it seems like America is just standing down and accepting all these
well,
illegal aliens
the
and
thing is,
fraudulent asylees. And
when you go to the border, I think when we go to the border, not the border is one issue. The other issue is these companies that hire illegal aliens. They should be audited when the Social Security's numbers don't match up. When we have an IRS,
right.
that's complicit in issuing tax
Hmm.
ID numbers to people who don't have a Social Security
I-10
number.
numbers.
If you don't have a Social
Right.
Security number,
Yeah. And
why are you getting any type of recognition or documentation from the IRS? Because they're sending a few pennies to the Treasury. The system is fundamentally corrupt, Maria. It's fundamentally corrupt.
I agree. And the IRS will go after conservative groups and ruin their lives and send in agents, armed agents, into a family's home, where a volunteer heads up an organization. The IRS also gives out refund checks to illegal aliens where they're claiming, 19 or 20 dependents that don't even live here. They're giving I-10 numbers out to these illegal aliens with which they run a business. So there's a lot wrong there. But the employers you mentioned, yes, we have to stop the magnets that are enticing people here and rewarding these
Well,
lawbreakers.
the other
You
thing
know,
that
not just e-verifying them, but you have to make sure that the people working as contract workers and subcontractors are legally authorized to work in the United States. And that's how some companies are circumventing our laws, but they're certainly corrupt and they should be going to jail. And if you don't prosecute these
well
individuals
when
and make examples out of them, nothing's going to get better.
well, see, Donald Trump is talking about doing that. But you have Democrats on the other side saying, see, the US Chamber of Commerce, and you guys need to go after the US Chamber of Commerce because it should be called the anti-US Chamber of Commerce, because all of their policies are very anti-American. They're very pro corporation, but they're very anti-American. And so we need to refer to them as the anti-US Chamber of Commerce, because they support and they breed um, uh, illegals coming to the
Right.
country, cheap labor, uh, uh, and this continues, and we need to. And they've lobbied Washington, and they've lobbied the congressman not to address the issue of illegal alien employment or employers. Does that make sense?
Exactly. They have a right to do. Oh, absolutely. We're always after the U.S. Chambers of Commerce. However, if they don't have any power, in other words, if these legislators are not listening to them, obviously they accept the money, but it's the people. If we don't have good candidates to at least put them up to run and have a chance, line up at the starting line, my goodness, and not allow the establishment to pick our candidates, you know, that's where we go wrong. But I've also asked my congressman who was the chairman of the appropriations, and he got beat by a Democrat this past last year. The allocation of funds is really important because if these funds, our taxpayer dollars, are going to companies and organizations that are anti-American, anti-U.S. Constitution, they should not get one penny of a taxpayer because that's not our system of government, and we should not be forced to give our money and support and basically fund our own demise.
Well, the demise of America, that's what Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama,
Hmm.
that's what they're all about.
Oh, absolutely. That far left, low, liberal socialist, they're not going to stop. They have an agenda. They're staying focused, and regardless if they're lying, they've got the entire fake news, all the mainstream media. They're on their side. You've got the entire Democrat Party. Look at the deep state, the swamp, all these different factions working together, and the rhinos working against America and against President Donald Trump, who is placing America first. This man is just uh, wonderful, outstanding, very courageous, and he needs our support. I'm not saying he's a perfect individual, no one is, but yet he is the one who listened to our organization, the Remembrance Project, and we brought the angel moms and dads and family members to candidate Trump in 2015. He also created the President's Office of Voice, which stands for Victims of Immigration Crime Engagement, as a promise to me personally and our organization, and to do more for these families. So this is a very compassionate man, and the only one who listened and responded to my letter that stemmed the creation of Voice. So this is a very unique person. If we don't get behind him, Charles, this country doesn't have a chance, because what the rest of these rhinos are all about and what the socialists, their agenda is,
Hmm.
win at all costs. We don't have anywhere to go as Americans. We have a lot to lose. And for one, am going down swinging. I don't plan on losing, but that's just our motto.
Okay.
We're fighting.
I'm fighting with you. I've been there from day one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
you have, and wonderful. And thank God for your outlets and conservatives like you, Charles, because we would have nowhere to go. We would have nowhere to go, no one listening. And so thank you. And I know it's a difficult time I'm sure you take a lot of heat and a lot of scrutiny and probably called every name in the book. So thank God that you're around. I appreciate
well, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words
it.
will never hurt me. You know what I say about people calling me names, Maria? I've been called worse by better.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good.
People, oh,
Yes.
Mr. Butler, you're an Uncle Tom. I said, obviously, you didn't read the book with your dumb ass.
Well, good for
I mean,
you.
is that supposed
But
to be
you're
a
you're
slight?
placing America first.
Always, always, Maria. Hey, Maria, this has been great. This has been great talking to you. You got to come back on more often. You tell that AJ to book you more often, because I enjoy when you come
Oh
on and
yeah.
just your breath of fresh air.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. And Charles, we'll get some families on, okay? We'll get some families. We have state coordinators
yep,
throughout the U.S. We're looking for more, and they're fantastic. They're, grassroots, on the
Maria,
ground,
we can do that. We can do
duking it
that.
out with these leftists. So,
We can do that once a week. That would be great to do that once a week. Get some of these families on and hear their stories, because here in Chicago, I can tell you, and there's some stuff up online. that I did with the county, where people were just testifying to the family members they'd
Mhm.
lost to illegal immigrants.
Yeah, yeah, it's really sad, and there's a huge ripple effect with the families. And I'll tell you one quick one if I have time.
Go ahead.
This story really moved us to create a coalition with chaplains and crisis intervention team because the Funderburg family out of Texas, husband and wife were killed, ran over while they were motorcycling by an illegal alien. He was drunk. He didn't get charged for that. Dragged him 300 yards. And then about 6, 8 months later, um, his brother committed suicide. It's just a ripple effect. The grieving family never getting over this, and the illegal alien was almost deported before he was charged. If it hadn't been for our land commissioner Sid Miller to intervene and check on this case, this illegal alien would have been deported and not charged. He could have crossed that evening back into the United States with no record. So but the family, the suffering that goes through, there are 3 children involved. I mean, it's endless, and yet they're still reeling from their loss. It's just one family almost entirely wiped out,
Hmm.
of the parents, and it's just a sad situation.
It is
It's very real, and it happens all the time.
all the time.
Um, you know, and yeah, and so here we are. We're doing what we can to answer and help out the families. But it's going to take everyone to be a voice for the victims. It's not enough for just our organization and some of the families speaking out. It has to be everyone out there must be a voice for the victims because this is at the very basic of all what we're asking for, and that's just the enforcement of laws, Charles, and place Americans
Well,
first. And
when I hear
it seems like
people
these elected officials refuse to do it.
say we need immigration reform. No, we don't need immigration reform. We need to enforce our laws. We don't need to reform our laws.
Yes.
We don't need to reform the immigration
No.
process. People need to come here legally. We let we I think we let way
Like
too
my
many
dad. Yeah.
I think way too many people come to this country. We legally we need to reduce legal immigration to 250. We need to allow people into the country that have skills that we need. And I'm not talking about some cheap ass
Hmm.
programmers from or coders from Bangladesh and India. I'm
Yep.
talking about,
Yeah.
nuclear wonky wonk, esoteric kind of people that we educated and, we're going to send back who don't have a job in India. Well, let's keep those people here. But, bringing people here from India to work in America. I mean, we this country, I go to college campuses and all I see are Indian people. I'm going, wait a minute, where in the hell did all these people
Right.
come from? you know
Yeah, no, exactly. And you hit the nail on the head. We don't need any more laws. Look at the law, 1996 law that President Trump um, reactivated on sponsors for these immigrants. That's a law. Why hasn't it been enforced? And that's the huge problem here. We have good laws. We don't need a reform. Whenever you hear reform, we know that means
yep,
amnesty. We
amnesty.
should not give the
And
DACA
I'll tell
recipients
you,
amnesty,
and I'll
by the
tell you,
way. And we should take a pause
yep, and
on
I'll tell you, and I'll
immigration. We've
tell
got
you
to
this,
find out who's here.
and,
And
and I,
and look, Charles, where does it say that Americans have to allow people into our
it
country?
doesn't. It doesn't. But this is the thing.
Exactly.
You have people like Lindsey Graham who wants to somehow be bigger than
Hmm.
life. He wants to have his name attached to something and he'll just give away the store. I tell you, I hate people like that. And then you have Mitt Romney
Yep.
who got trounced in the election and
Oh,
the first
geez.
thing and all that he wants to do is to come and badger the president. So he wants to be the new John McCain. See, I was never impressed with John McCain. I was always thought that he was
Mm-mm.
a Manchurian candidate. Do like the Manchurian Candidate movie?
Hmm.
I always thought John McCain was the
Hmm.
Manchurian Candidate because just when you needed him to do the right thing, he would always do the exact opposite you up. It- you know,
Right. I think that Mitt Romney it was a very poor sport. He lost, and that's all there is to it. I would, yeah, he was a huge disappointment, but it tells you that he wasn't the candidate to to be president. That's for sure.
No, he was worse. I think he would have been worse than Barack Insane Obama. Oh, did I say insane Obama? I meant Hussein
Yes,
Obama.
you did. Okay. Well, listen, Charles, if you ever come across people who want to volunteer and this is a passion, this illegal and throwing up conference calls where we have alerts and we have a brand new database that was coded especially for us. So we want to get that filled with the victims so that each state coordinator can print out a report, mail it, send it, take it to rallies. We'll have signs that are printable from our website. Same with the Stolen Life Quilt banners. Again, our focus is to place the victims into the hands of all Americans so that they can be a voice for the voiceless.
Okay, sounds good to me. Sounds good to me. But let's do this. Let's
Fantastic.
try to do this once a week. Okay.
Okay,
All
we'll
right,
do
my
that.
dear. Thank you so much, Maria.
I'm going to go ahead
Maria.
and call my media volunteer right now. Let her
Okay.
know. Thank you so much,
Thank
Charles.
you.
I appreciate it. It's always a pleasure talking to you, and I look forward to speaking with you again.
Thanks, Maria. Maria Esperanza and the Remembrance Project. Check it out. Thank you. Thank you, my dear. Okay, it's Maria
Thank you.
Esperanza.
Take care.
Okay. Bye bye. So here we are. Here we are winding this baby down, winding down. And I tell you, I love it. I love it. I love this stuff. I love being on the air. I love talking about these things. Hey, I want to play a quick clip for you. And this is a lady named uh, Kim Corbett. She was raped and she speaks for the NRA. And Chris Como tried to make fun of this lady. We're going to talk about this after we listen to Kim give her. Here we go. Let's go. Da, 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 da. Okay. Is it playing? Here we go. Yeah.
I was a normal 20-year-old college student. Off campus housing, they boasted that it was safe. Not a single incident since it had opened. I was the first. I woke up in the middle of the night, suffocating. Shut up, he said. Don't say a word. For the next 2 hours, I knew I was going to die, and there was nothing I could do. Now I'm a mother of two. And if that predator or anyone else tries to harm me or my family, they have to come through my firearm first. I will never be unarmed or utterly vulnerable ever again. The only reason I can say that is because the NRA fought for my rights before I ever knew that I needed them. I'm the National Rifle Association of America, and I'm freedom's safest place.
Wow. 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 That's powerful. That's powerful. That's Kim Corbett. So now this moron, an idiot, Chris Como, after he tries to mock her in this ad, and he says, um, he tweeted only in America. And so she engaged him, right? He says only in America to her ad. And Corbett immediately responded to Como's comment. And she said, "Hi, I'm, she said, looks like you forgot to tag me." You know, this guy thinks that he's smarter than the average bear, right? But he's not smarter than Kim. And so uh, Kim says, care to chat about this? And so Cuomo was quickly met with criticism online. He has not had he has had not clarified what he exactly meant for 3 hours after leaving his tweet. Ben Ho noted that Corbyn and her husband were recently targets of an assassination plot by white supremacists up on illegal gun charges, of which her husband was the prosecutor. Wow, that's deep. That's deep. So they targeted this guy, right? So they packing. They packing. They're like, hey, you can shoot, but we shooting back. Okay. So um, Stephen Miller tweeted, you should probably take a moment and Google who Chris Corbett is. Klap Kaplinsky. Oh, wow. Dana Loach, who's also an NRA spokesman, said, "Not sure what you meant by this, only in America. Can a rape survivor protect herself and her family against any future threat? This is bad how." Then Steve Croker says, "Man mocks rape survivor who protects her children with a firearm, only on CNN." See, these people at CNN, they think that they're above and they're better than the rest of us. Hey, look, we're off the air. We're off on over at Red State, unfortunately, but we're gonna keep on going here because we do our little thing over at uh, YouTube and Facebook. So I'm gonna keep going, and it's amazing to me that Como is on, and it really shocked me that he got his own show. It just shows you the lack of intellect, the lack of talent over at CNN. If you ask me, I don't have a lot of use for any of those folks. So long story, big story short. Hey, we'll just roll with it. But they were all over Chris Como, and I don't think Chris has responded yet. I'm looking for his response shortly after. Yada yada yada. Did he respond? I don't think Chris responded. But people are all over this dude, and they should be. I mean, I don't think he responded. I'll look for his response tomorrow. But look, hey, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching the video. Invite your friends and family. And don't forget that here at the Reality Check, we make you informed decision makers. Informed. Thank you. Okay. Are we going to end? We'll get out of here with a little music. Make this sound professional. Have a good one.